is a trigger warning before you watch this video, as some of you may become triggered. Now, this young lady asked a very valid question based on a video where I was talking about how this woman was insecure. And so she asked her husband questions that she only wanted a one-sided answer to. And I was advising, don't ask questions if you can only handle one side of the answer. So she says, what's wrong with a man helping a woman to overcome some of her insecurities? I don't see nothing wrong with that. I gave her a reply, but typing a reply just doesn't get it across as much as a video does. Plus, I don't like to type a lot. So let me give her a longer version, just in case she also watches this video. There are certain issues that a person may have that another person can be in a relationship with them and help them to overcome those issues. But then there are other situations where the person is having that problem, that person shouldn't even be in a relationship. Insecurities is one of those where you shouldn't be in a relationship if you have insecurities. Let me tell you a quick story. As most of you can see, I love cigars. I have been smoking cigars since I was 23 years old. There was a time frame where a young lady had became my friend, or at least I thought she was my friend, in around 2014. We maintained a friendship for about 7 years. Now, during that 7-year period, I never knew that she had insecurities because the way she presented herself, you would have never known she has insecurities. I don't think anybody would have known that. But then we got into a relationship. And as we got into a relationship, she, on our second date, wanted to go to a cigar lounge. Okay. But we went in the cigar lounge. She saw that it wasn't filled with just men, that there was about 20 to 30% women in a cigar lounge. And if you've ever been to one in Atlanta, it's very different from some of the other ones I've been to. People dress to impress. The women dress to impress. It has become a huge dating scene in most cigar lounges in the Atlanta area. So once she saw that, all of a sudden, she didn't want me going to cigar lounges anymore. She wanted me to stay home. She wanted me to go on the back porch until she realized that she didn't want me smoking at all. That wasn't going to happen. But she did not want me going to cigar lounges because there were women there. So this was one of the first indicators that I started to realize she may be insecure, not be confident in the man that I am, that I'm not going to step out and do something that I'm not supposed to be doing, that I'm not in this environment flirting at a level that's disrespectful. Her insecurities started to show. And as the relationship continued to develop, more and more insecurities started to show. Now, in order for me to try to mitigate some of her insecurities, as this young lady would suggest, I think this is a young lady, as she would suggest, it would have to curb who I am. The things that I like to do, I can now no longer do them. It is one thing that when you're single and you're going to the bars every night, hunting women, hunting men every weekend, yes, you get in a relationship, you curb those things. But going into a cigar lounge and sitting and having those great conversations with the people who are there, enjoying a really good cigar, those types of things, that's lifestyle stuff. I would have to have curbed my lifestyle in order to facilitate her getting over her insecurities. And this is why insecurities is not one of those things you can do in a relationship, because now it's shutting down a part of who I am. It's shutting down a part of my joy that I have in my life. And so the more she complained about it, you would think that, okay, if I stop going, then her insecurities will start to go away. But they don't. They actually increase because now those insecurities become a form of control. Oh, I got him to stop going to cigar lounges. Maybe I can get him to stop smoking cigars at all, even though I've known for 8 years that this man smokes cigars. You see how it becomes a model for a mode for control, and that the person is now suffering. Now this, if I had allowed it, would have started creating issues with the relationship. And actually it did, because I did allow for me to not go to cigar lounges, but not going to the cigar lounges didn't prepare me as well as I could have been prepared when I opened up my own cigar lounge in 2020. So it actually became an inhibitor in my life and affected my ability to open the cigar lounge the way that I should have opened it instead of the way that I did, which created about 6 months of undue stress in the way that I opened it. And then I had to go back and fix everything because I understood the industry a lot better after opening it when I could have had that understanding before I opened it. So it creates animosity, it creates irritation, and all of that is under the surface of the relationship. And if it grows and grows and grows, because now other insecurities are things are happening with the insecurities. You're going through my phone, but there's nothing to find there. You're deleting people on my Facebook page who you think are too pretty for me to have as a friend. You're questioning the fact that a picture of someone from 5, 6 years before we ever got together, I wowed that picture because it was a great picture and she normally doesn't take great pictures, that particular person. And so I wowed that picture as a point of encouragement that maybe she should do what she's been doing. Or when another one was after having a baby, she lost all that weight real quick. And I wowed the picture. Encouragement. Because she still had about 60 pounds that she wanted to lose. Encouragement. No, I can't be encouraging anymore. A friend that I've had for over 20 years, you want to delete that person off my social media. You see how if a person has insecurities, if I allow for those things to happen in hopes that helping her, it simply just causes more problems. Now, once it was brought to bear and you're going to counseling, sure, we're going to counseling. But if I stop living my life while we're going to counseling, then all I'm still doing is reinforcing their insecurities and their levels of control. So even as the counselors were saying, don't stop living your life. You can't overcome a situation if you don't deal with the situation. But that created argument after argument after argument after argument. And if you really want to run me away from a relationship, create BS arguments every other day. And when I say it was every other day, it's not an exaggeration. Because even that was called into question at one point. How much do we argue? I made my statement pretty much every other day. That turned into a whole nother argument. And so I then, in the way that I do things, all right, let's get the proof. Let's see. I tracked arguments. And it had to become something where somebody had to apologize at the end of it. If no one apologized, then it was just a discussion. But if somebody had to apologize, if there were hurt feelings, if there was raised voices, argument. 17 out of 30 days, argument. And of course, that created an argument when that was brought to bear because of another level of insecurities, an insecurity of not wanting to be controlled as they had seen in a previous relationship. So you see, insecurities is not one of the things that a man can help a woman with without damaging himself or severely damaging the relationship. Now, it is without saying that relationship ended before he even got the training wheels off because certain levels of that insecurity turned a little bit violent. And all it takes is a little bit of violence for me to walk away. I don't have to go through a whole bunch of violence to walk away. You show me the slightest level of violence and I'm done. So I understand what you're saying. It sounds good. But in truth, it does not work. It is not worth the risk. And so that is why I said no. If a woman or a man are dealing with insecurities like that, it is not for you to be with them. They need to fix that before they ever get into a relationship. So if you are feeling insecure, if you got to control your man or your woman, if you have to control their movements and know all their whereabouts and see everyone as a threat and think that they're going to get with everyone, if you think they're going to steal all your money or they're going to beat you or whatever, it's not worth it. Insecurity should not be fought for. but she be left alone.